this is Miss Keys. Today we're going to look at vertical angles. And what vertical angles are they are angles that are opposite of each other when two lines cross. And one important thing to note is that they will always be congruent. So if we look at this picture below, our two vertical angles would be angle 1 and angle 3. And then our other pair of vertical angles, angles that are across from each other, are angle 2 and angle 4. These pair of angles are always going to be congruent. So angle 1 and angle 3 are going to be congruent. So we could rewrite this. Angle 1 and angle 3 are going to be congruent, and angle 2 and angle 4 are going to be congruent. Looking at these pair of angles, I'm only going to name one pair of vertical angles. There is another pair, but I'm only going to name this one, angle 1 and angle 2. Those two angles I'm going to name their vertical angles. So if I highlight over angle 1, the way that we would name that angle is angle FAH. Remember, the vertex is always the second letter. And then the second angle I'm going to highlight in blue. And we would name that KAL. And since they're vertical angles, those angles will always be congruent, so I'm going to put the congruent symbol between them. For this problem, we're going to look at two triangles and try and find the vertical angle between the two triangles. So we have triangle VWC, which is in red. And then we have triangle BRC, and that one is in blue. And those two triangles are congruent, and we're trying to find out which angles are going to be vertical angles in this diagram. I'm going to put a little arc mark over the two angles which are vertical, shared by the red and blue triangle right here. So I want to try and name those two angles that are vertical. So the one angle, if I start with VCW, so angle VCW is congruent to the angle in the blue triangle. And if I start with BCR, and those two angles are vertical angles, and they are congruent, and that's why I put those little arc marks over them. For this problem, again, we have two triangles, triangle UCL, which is highlighted in blue, and that triangle is congruent to triangle RCN, which is the one that's highlighted in purple. Looking at this picture, I'm trying to look for a pair of vertical angles that's shared by both the blue triangle and the purple triangle. And you can see right in the middle, the two angles that are across from each other are this angle and this angle. And since they're vertical angles, they're going to be congruent. So I'm going to name the angle in the blue triangle. I could either start with letter U or L. I'm going to start with U and go UCL. So angle UCL is congruent to, I'm going to look at the purple triangle now, and I'm going to start with RCN. So those two angles are congruent because they are vertical angles. Here we have triangle WAP, which is highlighted in red, And that triangle is congruent to triangle HAG, which is highlighted in blue. Try and find right now the vertical angles that are shared by both the red triangle and the blue triangle. And they're right here. They're both shared by vertex A. And since they're vertical angles, they're congruent. So the way that we can name the angle in the red triangle, I would start with P. P-A-W. So angle P-A-W is congruent to, I'm going to start with G for this one, G-A-H. And since those are vertical angles, they are congruent.